will show the world what the ultimate bioweapon looks like when I let loose Mike the Birdman and the rest of the Twig crew upon Chris Redfield and his unnervingly hot little sister. Oh. Oh, yes. Right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack.
You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them. They never rent quality flicks. They always pick the most intellectually devoid movie on the racks.
And now, on with the show.
At the beginning of the 21st century, the Umbrella Corporation had become the largest commercial entity in the United States. 9 out of every 10 homes contain its products. Its political and financial influence is felt everywhere. In public, it is the world's leading supplier of computer technology, medical products, and healthcare. Unknown even to its own employees, its massive profits are generated by military technology, genetic experimentation, and viral weaponry.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to ThisWeekInGeek.net's Loose Cannon. And hey, happy Halloween, as this is one of our first pieces of content we are doing for the Halloween season. By the time you've heard this recording, I should have already recorded my Halloween special with my good friend of the show and former co-host of Do You Even Movie, Enrique Couto, and the angry video game nerd, James Rolfe. Will be having a Halloween special closer towards the end of the month for you to enjoy. But here on Loose Cannon, I'm joined by my compatriots from the Twig video store. From here in the Royal City, I am joined with
late Adam A. Donaldson.
And of course, from Twig's regional video store in the lovely state of Ohio,
David Denoyer, formerly of Do You Even Movie. I've got to say, Paul Thomas Anderson should have directed these movies, not Paul W.S. Anderson.
That would have been a very different set of Resident Evil.
Hard disagree.
And then finally, from the Garden State of New Jersey,
Ken from This Anime, and oh god, why?
Yes. So for our Halloween discussion, this was a conversation that me and Dave had, I want to say. And we were just kind of shooting the shit, just kind of going back and forth. And he's like, how would you feel about doing the Resident Evil movies? Now, earlier this year, I got stuck inside for an extended period of time where you saw my slow descent into madness display out over social media. And my good friend Jen sent me all the Resident Evil movies on 4K Ultra HD. I don't know whether this is a boon or a curse yet, as I've only gone through the first 3 so far. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the Resident Evil franchise, 1 to 6, with maybe some mention of Welcome to Raccoon City. Maybe it's kind of like a bonus discussion, I guess. And these movies, to me, at least the first 2, have a very big place in my heart because I was a huge Resident Evil fan. I've been a fan since the 90s when it comes into these movies, and I've got a huge history with the Resident Evil franchise. So, as I most often do, I'm going to go around the table to kind of give you guys to share your impressions of the Resident Evil franchise, and then we'll kind of get into the movies. So, for me, I got into Resident Evil in the 90s. And not on the PlayStation, surprisingly. I had to play this on an old shitty compact Presario using a PlayStation emulator called Bleem. And I played Resident Evil 1, I played Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3 with a keyboard and mouse. Let me tell you, if you can do that and beat it with S rank, you're a god. It was very fucking hard, but I wanted to play these games. Huge Resident Evil fan. And I read the tie-in novels, which were kind of in the same vein as video games had novels in the 90s. There was like Warcraft novels. There was StarCraft novels. There were Doom novels. There were 4 of them. And Resident Evil had a couple of them too. There were even some side story starring Rebecca Chambers and Barry Burton and Leon and all these other side characters. And it was very weird. Not badly written, but very weird. I think those novels actually go for a pretty penny today. So during the early 1990s, there was talk of the Resident Evil franchise becoming a film series, and the name that most often got brought up was George A. Romero, Screamin' Mad George of the Living Dead series. And I used to visit a homepage way back when called Homepage of the Dead, which I think you can still visit today. And it was the source for zombie news. And I remember seeing the George A. Romero Resident Evil 2 trailer in, its little postage stamp real player format. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to have real fucking zombies. This is going to be awesome. And then the movie got delayed. And then the movie got delayed. And the movie got delayed. But eventually, we got it back in 2001, I want to say. And this was a big... 2002. And this was a huge deal for me and my friends. At the time, I was dating my girlfriend Ashley and my friend Ryan, and I kind of roped them into all this too. They were really big into it as well. And we drove to one of the good theaters. Adam might know what I'm talking about when I say this. There was a Silver Cities just outside of Brampton.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it was this gigantic theater, really nice screens, really better than the rinky-dink I was visiting in my old hometown of Owen Sound. This was a huge upgrade. Now, what sucked about this is we had to see the movie with our necks craned almost completely vertical because we got there very fucking late. But I remember going in and being... Okay, if you remember that cutaway gag from The Simpsons where Homer has the little hat that says X NFL and the little flag says X NFL, and he's really hyped, really excited. I was like, go Resident Evil! Where's Chris Redfield? Where's Jill Valentine? Who are you? Oh, it's the chick from The Fifth Element. That's okay. What's happening here? Why is Marilyn Manson doing the soundtrack? And I was very confused, to say the very least. And yeah, that was a can of worms. But I digress. Adam, what was your first experience with the Resident Evil franchise?
The first movie was my first experience with the Resident Evil franchise.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I was never a big gamer. And the games I did like tend to be, not this. I'd like the scroll, games like the Super Mario and the Sonic games. But yeah, no, I did. This is like when I was in university, I was becoming a burgeoning cinephile, so I was like finding all the Romero stuff, and Italian giallo. So I was like refining my movie taste, and I go into Resident Evil. Actually, I didn't think I saw it in the theater. I think I got it on VHS
or DVD.
After. Oh no, it was VHS. Still, I don't think I made the jump to DVD quite yet. Rented it, and it was, I was probably a little more snide in some of my opinions with friends. It's like, oh, it's so rote. It's like ripping off this and ripping off that. In the years since, I have revisited all of these movies at various points, all the Resident Evil movies. I saw the final chapter in theaters. Opening weekend, I think. They've come to grow on me. In a sense, just as like trash. It's like really good trash, but I mean, I don't care. Like, unlike Mike, I don't carry any of the mythology of the games. I'm like when they say a name, like, and we'll get into it with, in part 3 where we meet Albert Wesker. I'm like, oh, he must be an important person in the game, but otherwise, it kind of goes right by me. So I'm in terms of like where I come from these movies, I'm just coming in as like pure, like, am I just going to enjoy this as a movie? I don't bring in a weighted of expectation of loving the video games as much.
All right. And Dave, what about you?
So I don't know if I've ever said it on this show or not, but I come across as somebody that did not have very much censorship in the home growing up, and that is actually very true for movies and books and whatnot. Where it was hilariously actually pretty on point though was video games. My mom talked to my uncle who played the rated M for mature games, but also her sisters or my uncle, actually two uncles that video gamed. Silent Hill, Resident Evil, like all those early horror games on like PS1, PS2. He played those and she got to find out what those were. So naturally that information got back to her to where if I tried to get stuff like that, I actually couldn't. So it really wasn't until 16, 17 that I could actually go buy my own games, that I could actually start playing them. I do remember she legit let me get the Punisher game, which really surprised me. But like, because the dude at GameStop's even just like, ma'am, do you understand that this game is rated M for, okay, what's rated M for? Strong violence, pervasive language, some sexual. Oh yeah, he's seen that in movies. And I'm just like, where was this 10 years ago? So I digress. My point in saying all that is Resident Evil games were never a part of my life. If they were at best, it was I was at somebody's house that was maybe playing it, but it really wasn't a game you played with friends, it felt like. Same with Silent Hill. Like, those kind of were those intimate horror games, which, I got games like Ghost Hunter. Like, that was one that I really, really loved on PS2 that had, like, a vibe to that. So, Resident Evil, the films, they really didn't reach me until I got my own copy of them, because it was kind of like that. It was in that period of buying DVDs, and naturally the new Resident Evils were coming out, so I started getting them. And my initial reaction to them, I think, was, 14, 15-year-old reaction of just being like, oh man, like, it's got horror violence and it's spooky parts, and oh my, listen to the new metal. Like, yeah, that was exactly what I was vibing for. So I took that all in stride, and I distinctly remember going to the theater to see the movie Cellular with Chris Evans, Jason Statham, Kim Basinger, and when we got out of our movie, we snuck into the end of Resident Evil Apocalypse. And by the end of it, I mean, like, we snuck in for 5 minutes and I think snuck back out. Like, we weren't even in there that long. So, because we realized it was the ending, so it was just like, well, shit, there's not going to be like anything here. So, had never seen one in theaters. Basically, from the release of what's the third one? Extinction. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Extinction. That was, my uncle had burned copies of 1, 2, and 3 for me. And then when Extinction came out, like, that was when he gave me all 3 of those. And then from there, I bought my own copies, and eventually also replaced those burned discs, which I think I still have the burned discs, unless I didn't give them to somebody. But they were always movies to me in the sense that I knew they existed. I had seen them. Could I tell you fuck all of the plots of many of them, except for Extinction and like the end of Afterlife? Not really. The only scene that I remember from Apocalypse that I was really just like, God damn it, that's the literally only scene I remembered, is where Mike Epps is walking around the classroom, bumps into the skeleton, and he's just like, I see you, motherfucker, and then that thing comes out. That's all I remembered from Apocalypse. So when that happened, I was just like, oh, that happens in this movie, because I thought it happened in the first movie. So I have not seen these in 10 years. It's been interesting to revisit them so far, and I'm really excited to talk about this.
Yeah. Ken, what do you got, buddy?
So, I was a baby bitch boy when I was younger. I did not like horror. It took me till I was just almost out of high school when I started to get into horror. So, yeah, no, these were, I had already known that these movies were trash, and I worked at the theater when both Afterlife and Retribution came out. I remember the ending of Retribution very distinctly because it's bullshit.
Yep. Yeah, you don't say. Go on.
I love the ending of Retribution and how the final chapter ends. But we'll get there.
I have not seen Final Chapter at all yet, and that's like the real reason I'm happy we're doing this, is so I can finally see this movie that I've heard atrocious things about. And now actually revisiting these, I'm just like, oh, fuck.
I will tell you more about the behind the scenes of Final Chapter and why I boycotted that movie with a heartbeat.
Was it the crash with Mila?
No, it was the fact that someone literally almost died.
Yeah, that's what I said. I knew there was a crash. I couldn't remember
Yeah.
if it was with her or if it was or if it was like a stunt person being her.
It was a stunt person.
Yeah.
And
I know. I remember that.
they had to sue the production to get actual money from the production. It was really bad. But so this is the first time I'm seeing pretty much all of them. I'm seeing clips here and there all the time because these are infamously bad to one degree or another. And I always equated these specifically with this series and the Underworld series in terms of these are both really trashy movie franchises. Like, they're both really trashy.
Mm-hmm.
At least the Underworld series has interesting lore as opposed to the Resident Evil franchise, where I'm talking about just the movies.
I liked
not the
Underworld
games.
a lot when I was in my teens. I'm really curious to revisit it because I have them all now, and I have probably not seen those movies in a long, like it probably about the same time as Resident Evil. That it's funny you bring that up because it's like people commonly put these two together because not only did Final Chapter come out the same year as Blood Wars, but also like we thought that both franchises were dead because it had been so long. It's just like, oh, we're getting a new Resident Evil movie, we're getting a new Underworld movie. What the fuck year is this?
I remember when it came to the Underworld movies, because again, that's when I was in my Mike had his small emo phase, and I was really into certain role-playing games, most namely Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, wait a second, some of this shit's familiar. And I was really fucking angry at those movies, but everybody in my friend group who played Vampire was like, oh, they're so awesome. I'm like, no, fuck you and everybody who looks like you. And I was just so upset with it.
Wow.
Oh, well, you want to know like what's hilarious about the whole thing of Resident Evil, in my opinion, for its history placement of movies and video games? It's the fucking first horror video game adaptation.
Yes.
And it basically kicks off a very short-lived like spree of them because like you have Resident Evil in you have Resident Evil in 02, then you have Apocalypse in 04, Alone in the Dark, Uwe Boll in 05, Doom in 05, Blood Rain 06, Silent Hill 06, Extinction 07. I mean, I guess you could count aspects of In the Name of the King.
Yeah, kinda.
And then that's basically Resident Evil and Silent Hill from that point on. Like, there was a little bit of a stretch in there where I think we all remember it, where it was just kind of like, holy shit, that has a movie now? Like, Blood Rain has a movie? And given it was Uwe Boll behind the brains of most of those. But it was just like, there was that period that was kicked off where it was just like, oh yeah, like direct-to-video, straight R horror movies that like have video game adaptations. And then we also got movies like Stay Alive and Gamer. So, like, it was interesting for what this kind of kicked off, I will say.
It was interesting.
Like, I forgot, like, one thing people tend to forget, just for, like, horror video game adjacent, do you realize there was a second Doom live-action movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. Everybody in this chat does, but yeah, not a lot of people probably know that because it didn't make news. I mean, and I think Doom was immediately dead on arrival in the theater because, like, it feels like nobody liked that movie, but we all were agreeing to dislike that movie, but to enjoy it together. Like, it was weird. It was just like, did you see the new Doom movie? Yeah, but it was just like, the new Doom movie? Yeah.
It's also a agreement.
It was a rare Dwayne Johnson heel. Yeah, it was a rare Dwayne Johnson
heel turn.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This was really early in his acting where he was willing to do whatever the fuck.
Because was this pre or post Be Cool?
I think
Be Cool would have been like 04. Yeah, so. Yeah. But I mean, like, it's hilarious though that Resident Evil, Uwe Boll sees Resident Evil and he's just like, I'm gonna make a House of the Dead movie. I'm gonna make an Alone in the Dark movie. I'm gonna make a Blood Rain movie. Postal. Oh, I can't make movies anymore about video games? Damn.
Yeah, like, I remember just the fact that you mentioned Uwe Boll.
I will argue Postal's probably his most watchable.
No, I'll hard argue right back at you with Rampage. I think Rampage
Rampage. Yeah, okay.
Is a great,
I'll give
movie.
you that.
I like House of the Dead, but I'm a terrible person because of that.
House of the Dead is that movie that you just have to go in and be like, I'm not going to have a good time. I'm going to attempt to have a good time with this very bad movie. and results may vary.
I'm going to attempt to have a good time and possibly have a bev.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to enjoy some refreshments and substances and enjoy this.
I don't know how you guys is that he released that cut that was like the unrated or the funny cut, like where they put like the jokes in like riff tracks and shit. Like that was a terrible idea. Sorry,
I don't know how you guys can deny the star power of Alone in the Dark. Christian Slater, Tara Reid, Stephen Dorff. I mean, it's practically heat of the odds.
Homie, I could take a picture and send in the chat right now that I have the 2-disc Alone in the Dark soundtrack. So you might want to watch where you tread right now. Oh, hold that thought. Hang on. We'll have a live reaction to this. Hang on. Hold that thought. Right back.
I love it. I mean, it's so wild. Like, we did one of the things you guys are going to hear next year, but we've already recorded it just because timing. We talked about the Mortal Kombat franchise, and we were talking about video game movies have taken a real interesting trajectory. I guess it's probably very fair to say video games adapt better to the small screen as opposed to the big screen. Mortal Kombat being the best example of a really good movie. And I think the first Resident Evil, once Dave gets back, I'd say the first Resident Evil movie is okay. He's back. Let's see what you got. So post that. Did you post that in Discord or in Facebook?
Facebook.
Okay, let me see what you have. Holy shit! Here we go.
It is in mint condition too.
Mint condition Goodwill find for $2, gentlemen.
Wow!
2-disc Alone in the Dark soundtrack.
That is amazing. So we've been putting this off. Dave, give us the pertinent deets for the first Resident Evil.
Yes, sir. So the pertinent deets of Resident Evil, we are starting in 2002, of course, directed by Mr. Paul W.S. Anderson and written by him as well. Literally, that's what I find interesting is that he gets both the directing and writing credit. No mention of the games whatsoever. So, I mean, you know kind of what you're in for with that just alone. So, written and directed by him. Stars Mila Jovovich, Michelle Rodriguez, Ryan McCluskey, and Idris Ove. The synopsis says a special military unit fights a powerful, out-of-control supercomputer and hundreds of scientists who have mutated into flesh-eating, creatures after a laboratory accident. This movie I will give credit to in regards of its cinematographer. It is David Johnson, who was behind the camera for AVP, Despite Falling Snow, and no matter what you want to say about AVP, it is shot well, even if the movie, personally, for me, is not I'm a big fan of it, but like I gotta give credit to those two, because they feel the exact same and shot by the same person, for sure.
Now, who did the soundtrack for this? I know Marilyn Manson contributed heavily. Did he do the score for this?
So the composer on it is Marco Beltrami and Marilyn Manson, both of them together. So Beltrami also coming to us from the Scream franchise as well.
Ooh, because that's one thing. I feel like the first Resident Evil movie does have a very distinct identity. And what I mean by that is it's set in the Resident Evil universe. It's a side story that you could very easily, again, looking at the video game lore, you could almost say it's a prequel side story, which is a very weird way to say it. Because when this movie came out, I think the Resident Evil remake had come out for the GameCube at this point, if not Resident Evil 0, I want to say.
I think the remake was right around this time.
Yeah,
like
so
Capcom wanted to capitalize on the movie.
Yeah,
by doing that.
I feel like there was really good synergy. I also remember this having a really successful advertising campaign. And what I mean by that is the posters were everywhere, but I remember a lot of the television ads focusing on the laser hallway sequence.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was definitely one of the trailers, and the Red Queen. Those were the two that they really focused on, because I remember you're all going to die.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like it's got a nice visual and marketable identity, but there are parts of this movie that I don't think are that bad. Like, I will admit this straight out. I'm a huge fan of Mila Jovovich, and I have been since The Fifth Element. But this franchise soured me on her. And that really kind of sucks, too. Because I think when she's allowed to kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say, like, really acts. She can do some really fun and interesting things. But as this franchise goes on, it becomes the Milla show, and I can't stand that because I like ultimately as much as I would love my characters like Chris Redfield, Claire, Jill, and Leon, which we do get these characters later on in the franchise, though from a chronological standpoint, it makes no fucking sense. But anyway, it's
the leading into the cloning, it like is as we get later on, just really fuck, man. Like it's just
when she got Jedi powers. I remember this, and I'll share this moment right now. I was in the theater, and again, Mike gets too loud. I was like, "What?" And again, the theater looks at me. Yeah, seeing a movie with me is an experience if I get caught off guard. And it was just like, but yeah, there are parts about this movie I do like. Now, to talk about some of the monster designs, they didn't go as over the top with the zombie makeup as they could have. I thought that was really a nice touch. I like how they explain how the T-virus functions, which the games have made it infinitely more complicated, but here it's relatively straightforward. For now. I like how even the military unit that's sent in with early 2000s Michelle Rodriguez and favorite of the show, Eric Mabius, shows up in this as a cop, as Matt, I think his name is. We know him from The Crow Salvation, which again I'm a huge fan of. Yeah, we fucking love that. And it's, I don't know, I do like, again, this is going a little bit into inside baseball. I like the weapons in this movie. Again, as a weapon guy, that's cool. I appreciated that. There are little Easter eggs hidden through this movie, which I think are kind of nice little nods to the franchise, especially right towards the end where she comes outside. You see the RPD symbol on a couple of cop cars. You see the crash ambulance, I think it is. Yep. Weirdly, how they reference Day of the Dead with The Dead Walk, considering how fast Raccoon City fell. Someone decided to stay behind at the printer, so as a journalist myself, congratulations to you for staying at your post right until the very end. I'm not doing that. I'm getting the fuck out of town. Fuck that. Someone else can do the typesetting. But yeah, I did like parts of this, but sorry, Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, I will just say, just going into it, like, the effects feel dated even for the time.
Even for the time, no, like, even for the time, like, because I remember the dogs looking better, because I remember you said that in regards to, like, them leading into Laser Grid, the Red Queen, and her jumping off that wall and kicking that dog, that was the ads for Resident Evil. Like, those were, like, the three central things. And those dogs looked way better back then.
Here's the thing. The dogs look better in the sequels, in my opinion.
Oh, I think they look good in this one.
The sequel improves upon things in this, but you got to give this movie credit where credit is due. You are talking about a $33 million budget that ends up grossing $102 million. So I mean, they definitely worked it well, and I mean, and the movie is not unwatchable. I think it's decent, but like,
to me, this is riffable territory.
Yes, but it's not insulting in my opinion. I think it's still a fun watch. I did enjoy revisiting this. It was kind of just that red flag going off where it's just like, oh shit, is this going to be one of those?
Yeah, it's not going to hate. For me, it's not going to hate boner territory.
Yeah, copies the video game format too, and it's like, now we're on this mission and we have to accomplish X. Now we're on this mission and we have to accomplish Z. And now we're on this mission and we have to accomplish A. And
it's task. It is task inducing.
It's very task oriented, and you keep going back to this map of
the hive.
The hive, and to get into the hive, you have to break into the house, and you have to get under the house to get to the train, to get to the train to go to the hive, and it seems a bit convoluted. I mean, when I'm watching these movies,
the geography in this movie makes no fucking sense.
And I try not to be this like reality brained watching movies like this, but I'm like, I understand Umbrella Corporation is like a massive multinational worth billions of dollars, but like building whole cities under cities. Like,
Yeah,
and
where are you
we're
going to
not telling
find that
anybody?
labor force?
Well, and I think that also brings up a good point of like you do things with storylines in these movies that make you have to have certain characters in them, and in doing so, you create a combination of so many fuck all characters that I can't keep track of them. I can't keep track of the names. I can't keep track if I give a shit about them. Like I hate saying that, but at the same time, Apocalypse was doing that to me worse than anything. Like at least with the third one, it was just like Extinction at least gives you enough of the ample violence and the throw in to like give you setup for the characters. Apocalypse is just like we're on fucking Oregon Trail and running into the count. The people here are real nice and just shit. Like I don't care. And Resident Evil is kind of the start of that.
Well, it's funny you mention all these kind of character things because this doesn't have the weight of the lore behind it. They're allowed to give you a bunch of throwaway characters. Like, for example, in this movie, I can name most of the team. I don't know the team leader's name. I never have looked that up. But there's Rain, JD, Kaplan, Matt the cop, Milla's Alice, Spencer, I think, is the traitor. And I think that's everybody from the main cast. And the fact that you can name all of them is, I think, kind of impressive. But the only characters I couldn't name is the leader guy. There were 2 red shirts. There was the medic who was the girl, and I guess the panicky guy would be the other dude. And that's it. In the other movies, you're right. They start throwing characters left, right, and center. We'll get to Resident Evil Apocalypse because that's where I started to get really annoyed because it adapts what is considered to be the most iconic Resident Evil setting outside of 4. But getting to
that ending of the first one sets up 2 beautifully to where I think anybody that left the theater or, had rented the movie or whatnot, when those credits started or when that camera at least starts pulling back and she's got the shotgun, she's in the city, you're just like, oh, fuck yeah, man, give me another one. So I think there's absolutely things that do set up well because of this movie. The problem is that I think personally
it's the start of a trend with this franchise where they introduce something in the last minute of the
to go into the next
movie that
movie.
is not followed up at all in the next
No.
Oh yeah,
I remember the end of Afterlife and then being like, "Oh boy, Retribution! What the fuck is going on?"
There were things that I did notice on this rewatch that were kind of fun. One thing I did notice, speaking of that pullback shot right at the very end of the movie, you see the true scope and destruction of how fast the T-virus outbreak can go through a city, but it's panning by buildings as it pulls out. There's blood splatters coming out of windows. And I was thinking, that's a detail I missed the first time round. And I'm thinking, that's kind of neat.
And it probably looks a lot better in the 4K transfer, because I believe the first 2 were fully shot and released on film.
Yes,
like it very much looks like it, and then Extinction goes into digital territory.
Yeah. And Extinction leans into that thing but they don't abuse it, which I do like. But Extinction leans into that thing that 28 Days does with the multiple cameras and like the chaotic cam, but it does it well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like these first 2 films especially are shot really well. And Mike, I gotta say something because once again, with going back to the joke that we made from our Mortal Kombat episode, you said Spencer was the traitor guy, and I know you meant traitor. I was thinking he's just like they're like, "Hello, travelers." Like, Spencer, we are trying to fight these, but I have wares to sell.
What are you buying?
What are you buying? Spencer, this is not the time.
Oh, I'll go over here then.
It sounds like you could use some ammo. I don't even have the gun that goes into. What am I supposed to do with it?
Like, actually,
let's go well with the Oregon Trail mentioned earlier.
Well, it's funny how you mentioned
that's my gaming expedition right there. It's just like Oregon Trail was my shit, so I have full dialogue memorized from that goddamn game.
Well, you mentioned task-oriented earlier, and that's something that I think the first movie captures really well. And what I mean by that is they limit their access to weaponry. very quickly. And Resident Evil has always been built upon the idea of resource management, where you can kill everything, sure, but by the time you get to the tyrant or nemesis or whatever the big bad is at the end of the game, you're really going to have to think, and you better hope you don't have just the knife by the time shit happens. Now you can beat the game with the knife, but good fucking luck. But I was happy how they run out of ammo. They get all their shit. They have to solve the problem. Like, okay, we have to open up the hive. What do? We have to, quote unquote, kill the Red Queen. But by doing that, all the doors are going to open. What does that mean? I don't know. And
the Red Queen was like,
that was stupid.
Probably a bad idea.
I love
that.
I've been a bad girl. No, he won't. Like, I love that little thing, but yeah, she's so serving cunty in this. Like, it's so ridiculous that she's more memorable than the actual villain, because I think liquor is some of the worst effects of the movie entirely.
Yeah, I will say there's shots where it looks okay and shots where it looks like total shit.
Oh no! If it's not moving, if it's standing still and can pulse, it looks great. If it moves, you can kill it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It looks like a video game graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as it moves.
The thing.
And what was crazy was it was like the Red Queen released the liquor like first thing, and we don't see it for like at least a half hour.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. This movie is way too fucking long. It's an hour and 40 minutes.
It's 40 minutes to get to the first zombie. 40 minutes to get to the
40
first
minutes
zombie.
to get to the first zombie. And you do have the setup with the T virus getting released, which I do appreciate that we kind of go through it. But how many times do we have to see it? How many times do we have to see it?
They spent money on that prop, and goddamn, you were going to acknowledge it.
Well, it's very the editing is very early 2000s music video.
Very much so.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Now, speaking of props,
I've always hated that. I've always hated music video editing.
One thing I found out, because I was looking at, I can't remember what auction house it was. Obviously, I don't have money, big boy money. But I remember seeing the props for this go up, and they were very reasonable. You could get the T-Virus case, and I think it went for less than $2,000. Like, it went
I think you're
really cheap. Yeah, and I was thinking, that's such a beautiful prop that I'm thinking, if I was going to own anything from Resident Evil, anything from the first movie, a T-Virus thing would be awesome. The antivirus thing would be great too.
The T-Virus would be the popcorn bucket nowadays. That's exactly what the popcorn bucket would be the T-Virus.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate that I've gotten to this point where I'm breaking down films by their popcorn buckets, but it's kind of fun and also can get very twisted with my brain sometimes.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool actually. Or the Nemesis edition fucking stuffy or some shit. But yeah, I mean, I remember, like I said, I had a good time with this. Going back to this movie, I enjoyed it. But I agree with most of what you guys are saying. It's very task oriented. It's very paint by the numbers action. I don't find it as bad as Ken. I find this an enjoyable action movie. I actually showed this to my wife. She didn't mind it, but she's like, I don't care if I see the sequel. And if it passes the casual audience, like my wife, I'm thinking, you know what? It's not that bad. It's something, there's a reason why it made over $180 million back in early 2000s money. So not too bad. The sequel is the one that broke my heart. So
the sequel is what breaks a lot of people that love the game's hearts.
Yeah, like Resident Evil 2 and 3, that is my joy. When I read those novels, I must have reread the Nemesis book countless times. Resident Evil 2, City of the Dead, its novelization, I read countless times. And Resident Evil 2 playing Leon A, Claire B, or Claire A, Leon B, countless times. Jill's scenario in Resident Evil Nemesis. This was my game. So seeing Resident Evil 2 adapted, the fall of Raccoon City, I played through this so many times. I've played through the scenarios in the books. Like, this was something I was so looking forward to. So I remember going back to a local music store, Music World, purchasing the soundtrack and thinking, all right, there's a lot of really good bands on here. I really enjoy this. That was the first time I think I ever heard Kill Switch Engage. And I'm thinking, all right, cool. And I just dug this. But when I went into the theater it tries to pick up after the first movie, but it really doesn't succeed. And it's very clearly Toronto, which is kind of cool to think, hey, I know where that is. I know where that is. That's the Don Valley Parkway. But
I mean, there's literally a Canadian production studio smack dab on the front of this movie. So
oh yeah,
and yeah.
And there's a gunfight out front of a pizza, which I completely forgot the first time around. So again, I'm seeing this in a theater in a small rinky-dink town, and I can't remember precisely how this happened, but I remember these kids were talking in the theater, and some old man, easily in his probably 50s or 60s, stands up in the theater. Could you shut the fuck up?
Nice.
Me to kids during Jaws 3D when they were fucking talking during the Indianapolis speech. No joke. Matinee day, they had that Jaws 3D print. Kids are talking in the very front row during Quint's Indianapolis speech. And I was like, hey, can you shut the fuck up? And they did.
Good. And the thing that broke me, I can tell you the exact moment, and you probably know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
You start, they're in the church. There's Jill, who looks okay. That's Sienna Miller, and with not Chris Redfield and random reporter chick, who's supposed to be their version of Ben Bertolucci from Resident Evil 2, I guess. But anyway, they're fighting the Lickers, which look a little better. Not by much, but a little.
Yeah,
and,
just a little.
And we hear a motorcycle, and I'm like, what? And then Alice comes through the window and does Matrix bullshit.
I genuinely have a theory on this scene, and I think it's just that they were watching a work print of it, and there was a producer that's just like, isn't Mila Jovovich supposed to be in this movie? Well, yeah, they're going to run into her, they get outside the church, and she's going to, do a really cool... No, have a break through the fucking window, riding a motorcycle, hair blowing in the wind. That's exactly what this feels like. This feels like a studio note of a cigar chomping producer.
It's at that point where I'm like, oh, this has just become fan fiction gone way too far.
Yeah, and that's what really made me mad, because there are points in this where they're like, okay, that's this event. There's the Umbrella Countermeasure Service. I can't remember what their acronym is, but you get Carlos with fuck, I can't think of his name. He's from Star Trek. Help me out. Carlos, who's his love that guy. Fucking wicked guy. Like, all right, cool.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Yeah.
And then you get the guy from A Christmas Story,
Peter
as
Billingsley.
Nikolai. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm down. No, it was Zach Ward, wasn't it?
Ward, yeah.
Oh wait,
yeah.
Billingsley. I saw in something recently. My apologies. No, I've watched a lot of movies in the last few days, so my apologies. Some stuff might be blending together.
So I was like, okay, cool. They're doing this. They're recreating scenes from the video game. Like, you see the opening to Nemesis recreated. You see the reflection in the RPD SWAT helmet as the zombies swarm the cops. You see STARS uniforms. They all look like Chris Redfield, but I'm fine with this. It looks cool. The costume for Nemesis, all things considered, looks pretty decent. I'm very happy. And then it falls apart. The thing that broke my heart, there are 3 specific moments. One, Alice on motorcycles. That broke my heart. Seeing what they did to realizing that Nemesis was Eric, or Matt, I kind of knew they were going to do that, but they couldn't even get the actor for a day.
They literally say it in the friggin' at the end of the first one.
Yeah, I was like, I want him in the Nemesis program. But there is one part where they show the operation, and it's a dummy, and it just that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then the end of this movie where they all kind of run away, and I'm like, what? And I remember walking out of this movie being fucking mad, because I remember, this is one of those things where I was like, you had the assignment, you had all the homework and notes you could possibly want. And then when Dave mentioned in our little chat, this is just cameo the movie, I was like, oh fuck, now I remember why I fucking hated this. And like I said, it broke my heart because I love Mila, but this is not your story. This is Jill's, this is Chris, this is Claire, this is Leon, not I'm putting my wife in fan fiction movies now. And it soured me on her for fucking years. I mean,
well, I think what's even funnier is looking at the poster that's up front and center on IMDb. It's literally the last scene in the fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they leaned in, hard
and even
that.
the friggin' Chiron on the poster is literally the last line she fucking says in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't voiceover, obviously.
Yes,
so
sir.
what are some of the pertinent deets on Resident Evil Apocalypse?
So Resident Evil Apocalypse is 2004. Rated R, once again, 1 hour and 34 minutes. So we are 6 minutes less in the runtime this go round. This one, of course, starring Mila Jovovich, Sienna Guillory, Eric Mabius, Oded Fair, which I will say I was happy to see him. I forgot he was in these movies.
Yeah.
So having him pop up from The Mummy was pretty awesome. Synopsis says, Alice wakes up in the Raccoon City Hospital after the area has been overrun by zombies and must now make it out of the city before a nuclear bomb is dropped. This is directed by Alexander Witt, who was mainly a camera and second unit on like Twister, Terminator Genesis, Bourne Identity films. So this is really like the only big directing he has. This is once again written by Paul W.S. Anderson, but we do have two cinematographers on this one. Derek Rogers, who was the guy who shot Cube and Cypher and Shipbreakers. Yeah, so pretty on that. And then Christian
Canadian.
Sabal, yep, was also a part of the crew on this, and he was the cinematographer for Final Destination Bloodlines, Fear.com, episodes of CSI. So you got two really competent cameramen on this. And I got to say, once again, overall, this movie does feel shot well. My biggest issue with this movie is this feels like Side Quest the movie. There's just Side Quest the movie meets Escape from New York. And I just do not understand.
What frustrates me the most about this one is it's edited the worst.
Absolutely.
The Nemesis fight especially.
And the Nemesis fight, it's like every 2-3 seconds it cuts. And it's just like, God damn it, I just want to fucking see the fight. But what really stands out is if you look at who the editor is, the stuff he did post this, he's the editor on all the Chris McQuarrie Mission Impossible.
Oh, Eddie Hamilton. Okay. Yeah, Eddie Hamilton. He not only he's like not only did he edit like all the Mission Impossibles and Top Gun, he also did Kick-Ass 2. He did X-Men First Class, Kingsman, DOA, callback from whenever we recorded last, DOA, Dead or Alive. But yeah, Apocalypse was like his first big movie besides Swept Away, which was a Guy Ritchie film for the most part, looks like.
Oh wow!
So yeah, this was his stretch of his legs because he did Mean Machine, which is a soccer remake of The Longest Yard with Vinnie Jones, and Swept Away.
Okay,
yeah, but I mean, like this is a step. This is okay. You started like shit. Sorry, but
I was about to say one thing this movie does well, but it does too much of it. Is it does the fan service, and the thing that strikes me the most is if you've ever played the game Code Veronica, there's a moment where Claire has infiltrated a Paris facility and she's running along the wall or she's running through a corridor, and a helicopter is spraying kind of bullets at her and she's running past it. How that sequence ends is she gets caught by a bunch of Umbrella guards. They're like, hey, freeze, drop it. She's like, okay. She drops her gun, then she drops herself and catches the gun in midair. Why the guys didn't just fucking plug her the second she moved. And they recreate that here with Mila. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but could you not? It's like they crammed every possible Easter egg in here. Like I said, the stars uniforms and everything.
I think
it's too much.
A lot of what is in this movie is a reaction to people getting pissed off that the first one didn't have
100%. And it's such an overcorrection where it's distracting. I mean, having the female reporter character replace, there's a character in lore called Ben Bertolucci who's been on the trace of Umbrella since the Arclay Mountain incident. Quick sidebar: in the Resident Evil universe, there's a bunch of disappearances in the Raccoon City or in the Raccoon Mountains, in the Arclay Mountains. Stars is sent in to investigate. They don't find nobody. That leads to the mansion. Shenanigans ensue. So Ben had been tracing the story, figuring out Umbrella's covering up something, and eventually they find all this weird shit under the city. That's how the T-virus gets out with William Birkin, blah, blah, blah. And when they overcorrected this movie, I was like, you don't need to cram all this in. And they put Jill, who's a STARS member, in her Resident Evil 3 costume. Again, I'm not opposed to that because I think Sienna Miller is actually really fun. I really liked her in G.I. Joe. So I'm like, okay, this is fun. I'm fine with it. But introducing the comedy character of LJ kind of took me out of it. I mean, he's funny. I mean, I like how he goes to the STARS members. He's like, motherfucker, my shit's custom. He's got dual gold-plated eagles because reasons.
I think it's because somebody saw
again,
Face Off
kind of
with him
neat.
before.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah,
like, all right,
absolutely.
sure. But there's just so many little problems with this. Like I said, it's the overcorrection that turns me off. It turns into the superhero show, and it becomes the Resident Evil franchise becomes nothing but fan fiction from here on out with, hey, this monster was in this video game. Remember? We'll see that when we get to, I think it's Afterlife, I want to say, or Retribution. They bring in the big guy with the axe from Resident Evil 5, and I'm like, what? But anyway,
well, even Mila said, like in an interview, that she was disappointed with the movie because the studio had made so many cuts to the story to add more action, and you can feel it. This movie, this movie literally takes a really nice setup from the last movie. Sorry.
And
takes a
pisses
really
it
nice
away.
setup from the last movie and pisses it away. Not only that, but then also is just kind of like, hey, what if we again gave you more characters and more side quests? But it's just like I said, there's a point where it just feels like Escape from New York, and I'm just like, what are we doing?
There's something you guys had just mentioned, and it just clicked with me just right now. You guys mentioned that was a studio note. I think I spotted another one just now. Walking through the graveyard. The T-virus doesn't work like that. And they randomly wanted to have their Return of the Living Dead moment there.
Yeah.
And it's so unnecessary because she's starting to give exposition. She's starting to say, hey guys, I used to be a security officer for Umbrella. Things are really fucked up. What can we do? Well, ABC. And then suddenly, Thriller, fucking zombies show up. And I'm like, fuck off.
I think it's the worst one in the franchise.
What really,
just my 2 cents. It's the worst one. It's everything we said. The side quest, the too many Easter eggs.
That's a bold statement, bud. That's a bold statement, bud.
I think the future installments are at least focused on something. This has no focus.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna say anything until I watch them. But man, I've never heard somebody say Apocalypse is the worst of the series. I'm just gonna say
I think it's the second. I think it's the second best. Okay. So and it's
really
probably because of the Easter eggs. But anyway, go on.
What really bothers me the most is you have people like Jared Harris. You have Ian Glenn, which I forgot he was in this franchise.
Jorah Mormont shows up.
Thomas Kretschmann.
Game of Thrones, but like. These are great actors, and they're giving awful performances.
Oh yeah,
like just
they're collecting
atrociously
paychecks. This is a period where they could get these movies. These movies were making bucks, so you could get a week's worth in and whatnot, and you could get a nice check for it. This was that period of them pumping them out. They would make a killing on video. So this is exactly what the kind of thing you wanted to get aligned with. Because if you got on this meal truck, guess what? You had 4 movies. It wasn't stopping as long as you weren't a cunty character. They wouldn't kill you off probably.
Of the odds, like if you just wanted to work a couple of days and make $1 million, you did Resident Evil.
Yeah. I guarantee you the people who had the most fun on this movie were the guy from The Mummy. I can't pronounce his name.
Oded
is
Fair.
Oded Fair.
Oded. He gives 110% because he's having fun with it. And Zach Ward's like, movie. And Zach Ward's like, hey, I get to work again as a Russian, but he's having a fucking
Russian
blast.
question mark.
And
Zach
that,
Ward's
and the guy-
awesome in Freddy vs. Jason. Just gonna say that.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Ward is awesome at Freddy vs. Jason.
And
Oh,
the guy
yeah.
playing Nemesis is really good too.
yeah, like
Absolutely.
there are like there are some good performances hidden in here, but Mila, I think, comes across as very bored.
She
Or at
comes
least,
in at 40 minutes in the movie, for Christ's
Yeah.
sake. Like,
yeah, it's fucking weird.
I timed it because I was like, when that went, because I genuinely forgot about her crashing through that window. I don't know how. I do not know how I forgot about that. But when it happened, I was just like, are you fucking, what time are we at? And I was like, 40 minutes. And she smashes in through a window. I was just like, my God, this movie.
My only compliment with this movie is it's shorter than the last one, and it doesn't feel like it's long. It doesn't feel like it's dragging.
It moves at a really good pace. One big problem I have with this, and this is just, again, because you contrast this against the first Resident Evil movie. All sense of reality outside of her kicking the dog in the first movie is now out the fucking window. Ammo is super fucking plentiful. You can do Matrix wire fu whenever you need to.
We have gone from Resident Evil 2 and 3 to Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And all bullets are manufactured by Umbrella for some reason, because Parabellum rounds, but whatever. Yeah, it's like, fuck.
Well, it's
I
like,
don't know.
I think the biggest issue that I have with it, more than just the story and whatnot, is I don't feel like this movie accomplishes much. Because I mean, the setup it does for the next movie really doesn't
matter.
Doesn't matter.
Not
exactly.
for the last time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hi. Well, I mean, like we just introduced Ian Glenn's character. That's about the only setup that carries over.
Yeah,
we get his character, and then that's about it.
This is a beer and nachos movie. This is a you can
100%.
eat bad food and have a good time.
Yeah, this is just, if it pops up on cable and you've got nothing else going on and you don't want to get up, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, to talk about the next movie, Resident Evil Extinction, I'm trying not to be as hyperbolic as I normally am, which is hard because you all know me. This brought my piss to a boil. And it's...
Well, all right, then.
I understand why specifically, because it
nukes the world.
It nukes the world. 2, it covers it introduces characters from the games that are much more popular and
does nothing with them.
Completely pisses the bed with them.
Yep. And you also...
I really like 3. I'm just gonna say it right now.
I like it.
Oh
too.
no, I
like it too.
I think 3 is out of the ones we have seen so far. 3 is the best.
It's Russell McKay. I mean, you're talking about the director of Highlander and Ricochet, which are 2 of my favorite movies. So
it's also the best shot and best edited. In my opinion.
That I will definitely grant you.
Yeah.
Like, for me, what made me the most mad about this is Sienna Miller didn't come back to play Jill, which that kind of sucks, but Jill comes back later anyway. We get Claire Redfield, Ali Larder. I think this is pre-Heroes. And for some reason, she's a fuck of a lot more likable here than in Heroes.
No, it's after Heroes.
Oh wow, she's a lot more likable in this than in Heroes. I couldn't fucking stand her character or her performance.
This is what I think 3 years after Final Destination 2, or is she?
Oh yeah,
because she dies in 2. So,
yeah, it was just like this. Basically, she probably shot this in right after or right before she did the first season of Heroes.
Okay. The thing that made me the most mad about this, and again, this is the weight of me carrying the video game lore on my back. Beaker's causing trouble in the kitchen. That's awesome. Is the world gets nuked. And in Resident Evil, yes, there always has been the threat of the T-virus spreading out, but not to the point where it turns us into fucking Arrakis. Like from Dune. Like
they just wanted to make a Mad Max movie with fucking zombies.
That's exactly it. They're like, how can we shoot in the desert to be really cheap? What can we do? And they just nuke the planet.
How
and I was like,
starts out where it's essentially, hey everyone, welcome back to Resident Evil. It's been a long time since we got together, but since you were last here, the world was completely destroyed,
Yeah.
and the dead walk the earth, and because the dead are walking the earth is killed. Anyway, Alice is out there, roving humans, all that's left, the world went to hell, people are picking each other off, and the Umbrella Corporation are in their lovely underground cities. Let's have a good time at Extinction. And then we're off.
That Adam, bravo.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
I want to recut Adam's voice over the intro of this movie. Next time on Resident Evil.
Well, and I think along with the Wasteland thing, 2007. So this was the aughts, the end of the aughts. We really, really, really were into violence. We were really into violence, and we were really into survival violence, especially. Like the survival horror was big. You had Walking Dead going by this point, so it's no surprise that this is the movie that we get as the third entry, because they were going by what the audiences were going to see. And I mean, say what we want about Apocalypse. So Apocalypse, just to give you a figures, it made over 129 million against a $45 million budget.
Yeah.
Okay, so it did fine, but not
it did fine. So naturally, when you greenlight the third movie, well, what's popular right now? Survival horror. Okay, well, what if we throw them in the desert? It honestly, I'm just gonna say this, and if it is what it is, but it kind of feels a little bit like Zack Snyder may have borrowed somebody's homework and changed it a little bit in some aspects. Just gonna say that.
Here's the thing: Zack Snyder steals from many directors.
Stealing from Resident Evil
of all the movies to steal from, this is the silliest.
That's you're copying off the kid that picks his nose instead of does the test. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I love Russell McKay, but Zack Snyder, you're copying off of the third Resident Evil movie to make a movie. Like, what?
Yeah, like there are parts of this movie that I actually genuinely like. Like, since you guys brought up how it was shot and everything, I'm like, you can actually see more here. Like, you're seeing more of the Cerberus dogs. That's what they're called. You see more of the zombies, although the super zombies are useless, all things considered. The tyrant effects for Ian, whatever. Sorry, I can't stop calling him his Game of Thrones character. Lyndon Ashby was a very nice surprise to see him again, as Chase, the sniper guy. I think it was Aaliyah played Nurse Betty.
Ashanti.
Who was it? Was it Aaliyah?
Ashanti. Aaliyah had sadly passed by this point.
Okay. But yeah, I was like, there's a really strong cast in this movie. Like, there's a likable movie here. I just don't like what it did to the lore. If you took the Resident Evil name off this, I would be less upset.
Yeah.
I think what makes this work for me most than anything is just that you didn't try to set up anything huge with the story until the last 10 minutes. And I'm fine with that. I am really okay with that.
That's the part that made me really mad. I was like, now she has an army of clones and they're all fucking Jedi. I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't love the story setup, but I appreciate that you're just like, hey, like, I mean, just like Adam said, we're here to have some fun, and then the last 10 minutes, it's just like, hey, here's the setup, maybe for the next movie. You don't know.
Spoiler alert! 10 minutes into the next film, so it's
yeah.
I don't
know.
Yeah. You don't get attached to things in this movie.
Why did you
bother? You don't get attached to the mythology from the video games and the novels. You don't get attached to the stuff that happened in the previous movie.
The only person
they
you're
all your characters.
The only person you're supposed to be attached to is Alice. End discussion.
Yep. And all she does is walk around with dual Capris and fucking shotguns and look hot. Cool, I guess. Now,
and like, how hard did they lay into her spinning that fucking sword though in those trailers, man? How many times did you see her spin those fucking blades?
Yeah. It's like, I'm really glad you trained with Capris. That's awesome. Actually, she does that in everything. She akimbo's fucking nightstick. She akimbo's Capris. She does knives.
I feel like it's the next movie that she's dueling shotguns at one point, and I'm just like, you would be blowing your fucking arms out. What are you doing?
Your wrists are not going to absorb that recoil. I don't care how much T-Virus bullshit you have.
Why are you guys getting so...
It does.
That's hung up on physics.
Okay, now
it looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie. It looks really cool.
Okay. It's at this point where you're either in or you're out in terms of the movies, because it's like
that's true. Actually, that's true.
you're either gonna go, okay, we've gone full Fast and Furious wacko crazy.
Fast and Furious with zombies. You're right, actually. Holy shit.
Well, but I think also you have to take into account that like you had the prime point of this is where in releases this was your 2-disc special editions and stuff like that, so they could shoot the extra footage. So that's why you got I think like 25 minutes of deleted scenes on this one, if I'm not mistaken. You got that, you're making ofs. So they were able to really, really go full tilt with this, which is why they upped the budget a little bit and then also really upped the action even more. Because I think this is probably more action-packed than Apocalypse, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, it is 100%, but it's also shot where it's actually showing the fucking stunts.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something we glossed over in the first movie, is the first movie's really not that gory. It's the more you go up, the gore kind of increases, I think, but like not by much. Like these movies are not super like bloody to the wall and whatnot. Like there's some gruesome points, yeah, but like I remember the Resident Evil games being pretty gruesome, and it's kind of the same thing we talked about Mortal Kombat. It's just like, I feel like in some cases you could have gone harder, but they chose not to.
Yeah, like I feel like she was having a lot more fun doing these movies.
I believe at this point she was starting to have a lot more fun with the movies, and you can tell. You can just
probably realize the money that she was collecting from.
Yeah. And I was also just kind of thinking, as we were talking about all the things she does in all these movies, you could create a Milla Jovovich scorecard where she dual wields guns.
Hold on.
Take a space. Dual wields blades. Take a space. Shows her boobs and nothing else. That's probably the free space in
How many
middle,
times do we see her wake up in a towel in just these first 3 movies, by the way? Because it feels like
at least
a lot.
4 or 5. Minimum 4 or 5 times. Actually, weird sidebar. At the end of Apocalypse, she's in a tank and she's waking up. She's talking to the doctor there. And there's a shot of her breasts at one point, and it's shot so fucking weirdly. And my wife had commented, "Oh, she's had children at this point," and I'm like, I didn't know that. I'm thinking, to take on a physical role like this so soon after you've had kids, honestly, that's a hats off, because that's a fucking commitment to get in the.
Well, shape. I mean, well, here's the thing: she probably got paid to get into shape and lose all that baby weight. So it's like that's a win-win.
Yeah, well, she's one of the things I do appreciate about her is I really feel like she's a tremendous physical athlete.
Agreed.
Yes.
And that's like when I saw her in The Fifth Element, I fell in love with her. Really, like for so many years, and just watching these movies again, like I said, if I remove the story and just focus purely on the action and the actress, I really can appreciate more about her. Like I said, in one, a little unsure, I think, because I think she'd done maybe the Joan of Arc movie before that, and then more comfortable. 2, she didn't have a good time. 3, I feel the confidence coming through in the performance.
100%.
Which is something I definitely think is, as these movies go on, I don't think you ever see her really have a bad time post 3. I don't think
feel
so.
like
I
in Retribution, she's just not there a lot. I feel like after a while, we kind of do lose her in the sense that she is still in the story, but like I feel like there's more focused on kind of like what they did with Apocalypse. I could be wrong, and I hope I am. But whenever she is on screen, I am having a good time, especially in this movie.
So I guess, what are our final thoughts on Extinction? It's the one I don't like the most, but now that I've talked it out with you guys, if I take the Resident Evil name off of it, it's actually pretty fun. And it's not a bad zombie World War ending movie. It's not bad. I will say that. And that was an opinion I held firm for, honestly, decades at this point, where I fucking hated it. You guys changed my opinion on this pretty fast, actually.
I think I enjoy this one because it's just so complete. Again, I don't bring any familiarity or fidelity to the source material, so it just like, I just want to watch this tremendously athletic and beautiful woman just like kick zombies and cut guys and shoot them up stuff. that's what I come here for, is just like action, gore, entertainment, watching, vaguely talented character actors just say ridiculous lines of dialogue and choose scenery, and that's what I get with Extinction. I don't bring a lot of expectations into an Evil Dead movie, so I guess I'm never unsatisfied with one. So yeah, I get exactly what I wanted, like just like a solid 90 minutes of just like shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, brain eating, some, I want to say, social commentary about how mega corporations will eat us and then eat themselves. Some of that, rewatching these movies, like some of that is pretty spot on. But yeah, I'm just, these are just subtly entertaining. There is such a thing as good trash, and I think there is perhaps no better trash in the 21st century than the Resident Evil series.
I think that's pretty accurate. Dave, what about you, buddy?
I mean, this has been an interesting journey thus far, and I know we still got 3 more to go. I will say, way better than the Dead Rising film. So hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We'll take that right off. The bat.
Yeah.
Not a
this
high
is
bar to
step
clear
up.
there.
No, Resident Evil movies, the first 3 especially, they're fun. 2 is probably the toughest out of them for the journey so far, but I've got to say that just Extinction brings in that form that I really, really just latched onto, and it could be just because Mulcahy's behind the camera, and he is really good at doing action pieces, especially sword fights and whatnot, so that does not surprise me. But if you're not if you're not aware of the video games, you can still watch these movies and still have a good time with them.
Yes,
in all
absolutely.
honesty, you're probably going to have a better time with them if you don't know the lore of the video games, because there's a lot that is so much there that they're not even using and never will, for that matter. So it's like you kind of go in expecting one way for it to go. So it's like if you go in these blind, not knowing much, you're gonna have a good time with them. I think they're 2000s AF. There is no avoiding any of that. I mean, the new metal, the editing style, it's just like, even the way some of the female characters are written and displayed, very 2000s. So, be warned of that. But I mean, overall, I think if you're a fan of, like how we mentioned, the Underworld films, or, more recently we've gotten into a lot of the Walking Dead spinoffs and whatnot, there is a lot of that stuff here that was pretty fun and still is to this day. Yes, there's a lot of cringe factor. Yes, there's a lot of dead story ends. But overall, you could find definitely worse to spend your time with on these. I think overall these first 3 have been fun to revisit, even if you can completely see that, like, they are of their time. Because I mean, that was basically the realization for me, is just being like, oh, maybe these have always been kind of bad, and I just had rose-colored glasses on. So if that's the case, we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited to continue with this so far.
Ken?
For me, as someone that isn't really hot on zombies ever, never have been, this franchise is infamous for a reason, and I think at least Extinction is a step in the right direction. Given what I've seen of the other 3, I'm not looking forward to it, because it looks like it it drops in quality again. I think this might end up being my favorite out of the franchise with Extinction, but overall, like, these are passably watchable, all of them. I think Extinction is the best movie to watch, even though you're still going to be kind of like, this is kind of in a barely watchable state. It got an extra half star because it was competently edited and directed, which I can't say for the other 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, and I think going from a shooting on film to shooting more in the digital space, and, well, this was still shot on film, but it was digitally post-process. And I think transitioning away from the film aspect of it is kind of a good thing, because it allows for the effects to not look like absolute garbage a lot of the time. and it also makes a lot of the practical effects pop a little better in a digital environment and kind of blend with the digital effects as well. So I think it's transitioning to the right direction. I don't know, because Paul W.S. Anderson comes back in the next one and he's very hit or miss.
Yeah. I guess my closing thoughts on Extinction. I like how it's the most detached from the franchise, but it introduces characters who are important. You get your Claire Redfield, you get Wesker, you get the Tyrant. That's cool. I do not mind that. I don't think that's the right actor for Wesker, but I think he gets replaced anyway, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. My opinion of this, like I said, during this conversation and this rewatch has changed. If I take the title off it, it's actually kind of a fun movie. And as over the course of this conversation, these movies are definitely 2000s as fuck. But without these movies being so successful in the public space, we don't get The Walking Dead. To a lesser extent, we don't get The Last of Us. We don't get those wonderful television shows like The Last of Us, Fallout, The Witcher, Castlevania. These movies needed to succeed when they did, because people could go back and point to the history books and say, well, look what that made. Now, there are stumbles along the way like Tekken and DOA, which I don't think did wonderful at the box office and were not exactly critically well remembered, but Resident Evil, at least in the circles I'm in, usually gets mentioned fairly well in terms of video game adaptation. And Adam, because you're not attached to the lore, you're the ideal audience for this because it's accessible. It doesn't burden you with... It's unlike Star Trek or D&D, where it burdens you with 40 years of lore you have to know before you go into it. This was perfectly accessible. It made... This is going to be a pretty bold statement, but I think you'll see where I'm going with it. This is the Lord of the Rings of video game movies. And what I mean by that is it took a property with an incredible, dense, if not stupid amount of lore and made it popcorn accessible. And that's what made all these budgets make at least double their money back. And the franchise came back from 2002 till 2017, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So that's not insignificant. Like, that's multiple Walking Deads. That's multiple The Last of Us games. So that's pretty significant. So,
well, I think you can also say that, like, Welcome to Raccoon City, the movie, feels like these first three movies put together.
Yeah, and I guess to have a very small discussion on that, because we were going to talk about it anyway. I've rewatched it a few times since, and it almost goes too much into the lore where it loses you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you tried to cram so much detail of the lore and the characters into that one movie. I remember, like, when they got into Nemesis, I was just like, shit, we're all the way in 3 right now. Like, what is the story going on here?
Mm-hmm. And they introduce something that was introduced in the remake with Lisa Trevor. They try to bring in Birkin. That one thing they did do with Welcome to Raccoon City is there's a character called Chief Brian Irons. In Resident Evil 2, he's a creep. He literally takes the mayor's daughter and taxidermies her and does weird things to the body, as it's always been kind of implied. Here, he's kind of like not quite so evil. And it's kind of weird. My major complaint about Welcome to Raccoon City is how it treats the characters. I don't mind what they did to Chris Redfield. I'm fine with that. What they did to Leon was a fucking tragedy. And why I say that is Leon in the games he's a rookie officer, but he's competent and he's likable. In the movie, he's likable, but he's nowhere near fucking competent. And they turned Jill really weird, and I don't know why. Wesker's kind of strange too. And just the characters don't match the story. It's weird. And by overcorrecting it, you get iconic shots like the front of the RPD. You get shots of the mansion. Although the mansion feels like a 3-bedroom house for some reason. It feels really fucking small. Like it's weird because I think they shot this movie in Sudbury, I want to say, which is a very northern community here in Ontario. I'm not sure how many thousands of people live there, but it's not a big town, but it's a very industrial town. And I liked parts of Welcome to Raccoon City. Like there's one thing, like one reference that I loved in it is when the T virus starts to get into your brain and you start to go, your facilities go. And you find a journal from a researcher in the first Resident Evil game, and it says, "Can't talk, Carl, hate this guy, ate his face." And then at the last entry in the journal, it says, "Itchy tasty." And you see someone write that in blood on a door, "Itchy tasty." And I thought that was kind of cool. But Welcome to Raccoon City, it tried to overcorrect the mistakes of the franchise. And in return, you just got this jumbled mess that doesn't please anybody. Even hardcore fans are like, I hear the animated movies are better, but they are too steeped in the lore, where unless you know what happened in Resident Evil Remake, Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles, or whatever, you're not going to know what the fuck is going on. And that's the problem with adapting video game movies, is if you front load them with lore, you will lose the audience, and your hardcore audience that does show up, like me, for example, is going to be overly critical of you. And then you end up pleasing nobody. Like, certain changes have to happen.
And they even try, and like they even tried to do the TV series on Netflix, and that
I forgot about that.
And that failed miserably.
I didn't even watch a single episode of it. I had friends that liked it. Yeah.
I know what the plot is. It's stupid.
Who directed that?
The TV series was let me double check the TV series.
And it's funny because I just said video games adapt better to TV. That's one that definitely didn't make the mark because nobody talks about it.
That was directed by Rachel Goldberg and Bronwyn Hughes, Rob Seiglins, and Baton Silva.
What are they mostly known for?
I have no idea. Let's find out.
I know Rachel Goldberg.
Rachel did Mayans, American Gods, Veronica Mars, American Horror Story, so she's definitely got something. Bronwyn, I think is the director.
She also did a lot of Agatha All Along.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so and Bronwyn Hughes is the director of Harriet the Spy. I thought so.
Okay, so it's got a good like kind of pedigree, but it just didn't translate. And
it's written like shit.
Yeah, because
I'll tell you right now.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned the guy who did the Highlander, Russell. He made a very entertaining movie, and I think that's because he wasn't attached to the IP. He didn't have anything in it. It's like, I know this must adapt Resident Evil 4 or whatever. He didn't have to do that. So I think when you try to adapt Resident Evil to your own style, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Clearly, since Resident Evil on Netflix never gets brought up, I guess that kind of says something. And same with Welcome to Raccoon City. It's mentioned, I think the most common thing I've heard about it on Reddit and other places is that it tried and it failed. And I can at least acknowledge the effort, but I never hear somebody saying I appreciate the effort. But you always hear I always acknowledge it.
And and I mean, we've got the Zach Krieger movie that's coming next year.
I forgot about that too. That's right.
Yep. And Zach Krieger has said he's really excited about the production. And I mean, he's got a decent enough pedigree where I'm like, yeah, I could see him doing a good Resident Evil.
When's it supposed to come out?
Next year.
So when do you think?
Yeah.
So do you think we'll see a trailer this year or next year?
It's going to start filming in January.
Oh wow, that late? Holy shit! I guess October release.
It's going to be more October release. I think that's what it's. It's starting to actually no wait. It's starting to film now.
Okay, so
at the thing.
So maybe we'll see a teaser by Super Bowl, maybe, or maybe by Memorial Day.
Super Bowl Memorial Day is when they're going to tease it.
Okay, so that's not so bad. We'll have a panel at Comic-Con next year. You know what?
For sure.
Sure, why not? Okay, you know what? I'll go check it out because it's what I do now. So yeah, I guess that's kind of our truncated thoughts on Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. We're going to come back and cover the back end of the franchise coming up really soon here during the month of October. And we're also going to do something that Dave did with us last time. We're going to rank these movies in order. So we have 6 with an honorable mention for, I guess, Welcome to Raccoon City. It doesn't really fit in this timeline, so it'll just get mentioned. But yeah, so this was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you for joining me at this Umbrella Company retreat today. I had fun.
Nobody died.
So from the Royal City, yeah, nobody died or is infected.
That we know of.
That's all that we know of. So from the Royal City, Adam, where can people find you online? What other podcasts do you do?
If you're not interested in political stuff, which I understand, I do talk about movies every week on End Credits, and you can just find that on my podcast channel, which is the Guelph Politicast channel, where you can find that wherever you get podcasts. Otherwise, you can find me on the socials. I'm at Adam A. Donaldson on just about every social media feed, so that's where you can find me.
Beautiful. And Dave, I now have you exclusively that I'm aware of.
You do indeed, yes.
So if people wanted to find you, where would they have to go?
Yeah, you can find past episodes of podcasts that I've done with my good buddy Enrique Couto and guest on the show. We started with the Welcome to Primetime podcast, which was us recapping the entire series of Freddy's Nightmares. We also did a movie show for a little bit called You Movie that has about 90 episodes available for you right now. You can find me on Letterboxd at David SWMA, stands for David's Watching Movies Again, which also happens to be my Instagram name as well, so you can find me over there if you want to follow me. I'm posting a lot of shit, and I've already got past 500 movies for the year of 2025 as we are recording this. So I don't know if I'm going to be at 600 by the time this airs. We'll find out.
Now, is that because you watched... Okay, question. Did you write letterbox reviews for every single Air Bud movie?
I mean, I had to, so obviously. Would you like me to skim them real quick as we wrap this show up?
I'm going to say Air Bud kills everything beautiful. I'm just saying.
It clearly did. I actually, so funny enough, we mentioned how we're going to do the Resident Evil ranking. I did an entire ranking of the Air Bud cinematic universe. But yes, I did write a review for all of the 15 movies. Still, of course, we're waiting on Air Bud Returns, which should be coming out, I think, next year or the year after. I can't remember. But yeah, if you want me to, I'd be happy to skim through these Air Bud reviews. It's up to you.
I am really curious because I want to know who's the multiversal threat in the Air Bud franchise.
All right, so let's just jump in here real quick. So the first Air Bud, I said, and because there was no rule that said a dog can't play basketball, we got 14 films that created the Air Bud cinematic universe. 3 stars. That was Air Bud. Air Bud Golden Receiver is, 3 stars as well, and my review for that reads as... I'll tell you, boys, that there ain't no golden retriever. That there's a golden receiver, because I always put a quote in my reviews. Why does Robert Costanzo have to eat in every scene he's in? Also, I guess there's no rules that a dog can't play football. They didn't even question it. So, Golden Receiver then takes us into, I believe, World Pup was the next one, which is the third one. That one is Buddy not only plays basketball, football, and now soccer, but he also fucks. 2 stars.
Nice. Nice.
Jesus Christ.
Air Bud's 7th inning fetch, number 4. Let's see. So even though there were no rules about dogs playing soccer, apparently baseball is fine. The last appearance of Kevin Zegers in an Air Bud movie, and dog napping is still somehow a central plot point. 2.5 stars. Air Bud Spikes Back, which is the 5th entry in just the Air Bud and the final Air Bud movie till we get to Buddies. Better than World Pup and on the same level with 7th inning fetch, but surprisingly, there's no rule apparently that prevents a dog from playing volleyball, but there should have been because it's the weakest part of the movie. But gotta admit, had fun with this one, but is it me or did Sheriff Bob's hat get bigger from the last movie?
Hard hitting.
Then we go into Air Buddies. We go into Air Buddies. So Buddy had kids and they talk now. Plus there's a spoiled rich kid orchestrating Air Bud's kidnapping that leads to 2 inept bad guys working for a guy with an eye patch, Donnie Darko's dad. Plus John Coffey voices a wolf that the buddies come in contact with when they have to go on a mission to rescue their parents. And there's Wallace Shawn as a goat at one point on a farm with a pig that speaks pig Latin. Simply put, Air Buddies is wild. And did I mention that the housekeeper's name is Miss Niggles?
What the fuck?
Then let's see. Air Buddies led us into. Goddamn, I don't. Which was the next one? I think it was Snow Buddies.
Yeah,
Snow Buddies.
Snow Buddies.
Snow Buddies. For a CGI dog movie about a sled race, there sure is a lot of death discussion and peril. But hey, the late Chris Christopherson is here voicing an Alaskan Malamute too. But the fact that the buddies end up in Alaska from hiding in an ice cream truck is a choice. 2 stars. Followed by Air Buddies, I think was what, Spooky Buddies? God damn it, I don't even remember the fucking movies now.
I think it's Santa.
Is it Santa?
Next.
Oh, fucking Santa Buddies. Okay.
I want to say I want to recut the Blade dialogue into the
Christopherson as the Malamute. Oh my god, yeah. Okay,
Got
Santa Buddies.
Somebody give me a goddamn wheelchair.
Santa Buddies. A CGI talking dog Christmas movie, but I'll be damned if I remember anything except the scene where the 2 dogs started breakdancing. 1.5 stars.
Sorry, there were breakdancing dogs and it only gets 1.5 stars?
It only gets 1.5
Yes.
All right, Ken, what was after Santa Buddies? Was it the fucking Santa Paws?
Santa Paws. Yeah, the Santa Paws.
Okay, so Santa Paws. The search for Santa Paws. Let's see. Nothing says Christmas origin story like giving Santa amnesia, then giving him a life-threatening situation to put him in the hospital, and an orphanage where the owner puts toys in a furnace and locks children in a basement for misbehaving. That all said, it's cute and has more talking dogs, but none of the buddies. It's also Christmassy AF. 2.5 stars.
But no breakdancing dogs.
No breakdancing dogs. What's the next one?
Spooky.
Spooky Buddies. Okay, Spooky Buddies is one of my favorites. That was like my 3rd favorite of the entire thing. The Buddies movie I've legitimately been excited to check out since starting my marathon, though through the Air Bud cinematic universe turns out to be a pretty big ripoff of Hocus Pocus, and I honestly have no issue with that. Harlan Williams as a warlock, CGI ghost dog looking like Casper, spellbook swapping with a Bible, a dog fart as a weapon against evil, and a 20-minute version of Monster Mash. What more could you want? 3 stars.
Now we're talking.
Okay. Yeah. I gotta admit, kind of interested. Not even gonna lie.
All right, what's
Space?
Next? Space Buddies. Doggy Armageddon, basically. Let's see. You know what? By the 8th Air Bud cinematic universe film, having the blatant audacity to just rip off a scene from Armageddon and put it in a 2000s DTV kids movie is something I admire. Thankfully, Patrick Starr and Lachlan Monroe were behind the controls to make sure the pups get home safe when their fucking rocket is hit by a meteor.
Does one of the dogs
2.5
get
stars.
space madness?
Do you mean the
kind of like they do it for jokes, basically.
when you say Patrick Starr, do you mean literally the SpongeBob character?
Yeah, it's not it's the voice. It's the guy.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of his name. Tom or not Tom. Oh shit.
The guy from Coach, right?
Yeah, I had the guy that's in the stand. Yeah, okay. Space Buddies followed by
Santa Paws 2.
Santa Paws 2. Oh boy.
The
Santa Paws 2, the Santa Pups. The 3rd Christmas entry in the Air Bud cinematic universe, and it's a sequel to a prequel spin-off of Santa Buddies. And once again, nobody's here. But now we have the Santa Pups who accidentally zap a town of their Christmas spirit. Once again, like Santa Paws OG movie, we're spending more time with human characters with a genuinely well-written story. That said, the most memorable thing is watching a little girl take a policeman's bat and smash a piggy bank with it. I laughed out loud. 2.5 stars.
Then Treasure.
Oh, I fucking hated Treasure Buddies. I was working at FYE in 2012 when this movie released. I remember stalking it and saying, how did a dog playing basketball get us here? We find the buddies in Egypt battling an evil cat whose owner is the head vampire, a.k.a. Edward Herman, and our human protagonists somehow still trust him. The buddies crash a hot air balloon, take on a talking snake in a hypnosis battle while one of them beatboxes, dodging booby traps, scarab beetles, and a cursed necklace that turns one of them into a cat. Yeah, not one of my favorites. 2 stars.
What?
And the last one's Super.
What? That's fucking wild.
Yeah. Last one's Super.
Super Buddies. The least favorite, and fuck this movie. Okay. Well, god fucking damn. After watching the entire ABCU, Air Bud Cinematic Universe, in under a month, finding some decent films like Spooky Buddies, Santa Paws, not you Santa Buddies, and even Air Buddies, I cannot believe a dog playing basketball in 1997 got us here. Super Buddies is the epitome of 2013 and gets to be straight up insulting at the end, even though Ratzenberger is trying to work with what he's got. Upon me saying how awful this film was to my roommate, he asked if I was proud of myself. And you know what? I am. But wow, this movie kind of really sucks. I said, watched via Disney Plus, which due to the marathon of the Air Bud Cinematic Universe, had to purchase my own account because I locked my buddy's account up with these fucking movies. 1 star.
And this all began as an offhanded comment towards you to do fucking Air Bud.
All it was, the only reason I watched all those movies was because we were doing Air Bud for Do You Even Movie, and I was like, wouldn't it be a funny bit if I showed up having watched the entire thing? Little did I know that it would kill the podcast.
Oh my God. You know what would have been a great visual gag for the end of the podcast? If you showed up with like a giant 6-inch binder and be like, slam it down on the table. I have notes.
Yeah,
Enrique's face and not
I'll
tell
put
him.
it this way. If you bastards want to take it on and we do an entire ABCU episode, I have no problem with that. But I'm just telling you,
I'm not suffering through that.
That's the Klingon word for pain called beige, and I don't know if I'm prepared for this.
I did it for everyone, so you don't have to. So it's fine.
Indeed.
Have you submitted
so
can yours
yet? I'm gonna close it out here. I'm gonna close it out. So you can find me Ken Reels pretty much everywhere. KenReels.com is where you can find links to all of the podcasts that I am a part of and have done in the past. And you can find my Ken Reels on Letterboxd, where I review pretty much anything that comes out theatrically. This week I saw Splitsville and the new Conjuring movie as of this recording. So
all right. So guys, as always, if you want to find me on the socials, Birdman ODST or Birdman Twig, some variation thereof. Ken writes all the posts on the website. You can find all of our social medias on there. So we will be back next week with the back half of the Resident Evil franchise as we continue our journey with the T-virus, to which there is no antigen, but that's okay.
Or is there?
Because there are no breakdancing dogs. Or is there? We will find out. So I was about to say for Do You Even Movie, rest in peace. So for This Week in Geeks Loose Cannon, we have been
David Denoyer coming to you from Ohio. Oh, well, shit.
I was so fucking Santa buddies. And on that note, we're getting the fuck out of here. See you next week, motherfuckers.
Bye.
Breakdancing dogs. Fuck.
Please? You're all going to die down here.
Are either one of these any good? Sir?
What?
Are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Quick! Change the channel!
You're wasting your life making shit! Nobody cares! These movies are terrible!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.